Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's BAInsights session. Today, I'm once again really pleased to be joined by three excellent guests, and today we're talking about service design. Before we get into the topic, though, I'd like to first of all ask each individual to introduce themselves. So let's start with Sabine.
Hi, I'm Sabine Ostlender. I'm the founder of masVenta Business GmbH and European Business Analysis Day together with Wendt. And my position in the company is sales and marketing.
Thank you very much, Sabine. And let's then go to Oleksandr.
Yeah, hi everyone. I am Oleksandr Moskalyuk, and I am part of IIBA Ukraine. Also, I have more than 20 years in IT experience, and I am now part of BA Day organization team in the European BA Day organization team.
Excellent. And I'm sure if it's yourself, Alexander, or Sabine, definitely share some information to the audience on what the European BA Day is as well. I'm sure we'll get a chance to do that. All right, perfect. And Rainer, if you want introducing yourself too as well, please.
Yes, hi, this is Rainer Wendt, and I'm, let's say, an engineer with heart and soul, and I've developed software in the last decade of 1900, and since more than 25 years, I'm leading projects and I'm maintaining my passion, which is business analysis, and from there, I have created this format Business Analysis Day together with Sabine roughly 5-6 years ago, and we are both very passionate on this topic, and we like to combine things which haven't been combined yet. And one example is service design and business analysis, which might be a very interesting topic.
I think so. So thank you, Ryan. Thank you, everyone, for your introductions. So maybe let's start with a question in terms of what is service design, and perhaps how does it align to business analysis or relate to business analysis? We'll start with Sabine. You can give a perspective, and then we'll move on to Oleksandr and then yourself, Ryan. But Sabine, what's your perspective on that?
I'm sorry, this is not my point of working. It's only Oleksandr and Rainer who could say it.
Well, in that case, we should go into Oleksandr for that question in terms of what is service design and how does it align to business analysis?
So you can think about service design from different viewpoints, and business analysis, it's always a service that we provide to our customers, to our stakeholders, and this way we should understand how it works from the position of people who provide services. On the other hand, we should think about service design and services as a business, as a type of business, and this way we should understand it, how it works, who are stakeholders, what is a product, what is value, and what we can do to create, to optimize or develop these products in this domain. So I think it's my point of view of on this question.
Excellent, thank you, Alexander. Rainer, do you have anything? What would you like to add?
Yeah, once I did a nice drawing on service design. It was an illustration which has been colored in blue and green, and blue and green are complementary colors, meaning it's both sides of the coin. It's one is the service needs to be provided by companies, by vendors, by service providers, and on the other hand, the service is consumed, and so the perspectives are so different because the providers are very much cost driven. They want to provide a service and they want to earn money with the service naturally. And on the other side, we have the customers, and the customers they want to benefit from an easy to use lightweight service, and they don't want to know about all the things which are provided in the machine room. They just want to use it, and they want to be safe with it. They want to have a good data protection and things like that. And so it is a good idea for providers to slip into the perspective of the consumers and to see what can we do to come to the cutting edge of the market and to build services in a way that they are that they sell in a fantastic way that people are jump on it and use it. One example I'm often trying to think of is a kind of very overarching travel service. Meaning, if you are a business guy and you need to travel around and you use taxi, train, plane, ship, whatever, and you have all these delays. We would all dream of a perfect travel assistant, a digital travel assistant on your palm, who can tell you what to do next. How can I catch my next train? How can I do this? Where can I find a hotel if I'm stranded somewhere? And all these things are not very much intelligent nowadays. You still, if you are on the go, you still have to see what you can do manually with your own brain. There is no AI in place which is so clever that it can just sit next to you as a consultant and as a travel agent and steer you in the right direction. You have to put a lot of own energy into it. Huge potential in digital services. I have just picked one, which is not a really easy one. Travel assistant is a complex topic, but there are so many cases in our daily life where we could have digital services which could make our life much easier, and which are, from my point of view, still poorly developed, despite the fact that we have 2024.
Yeah. And actually a really interesting lens on service design. If we think about it from the perspective of, think about the user, putting yourself in their shoes, how do you deliver the right service to them from a perspective that they'll care about? So they don't necessarily care about your internal processes, as you said, Rainer, but they care about the quality of service they receive, the timeliness of the service they receive, the products that they get as well as a result of that service. That feels like very much an obvious touch point between business analysis and service design, in that the BA should be thinking in that customer-driven and centric way to think about, who are their stakeholders, who are their customers, and how are they going to get the best from whatever situations or solutions the BA is analysing. So
yeah, and there's one important point, if I can just
sure.
Come to a conclusion. I think that the design of the services, if it's very much customer driven, if it's designed from an endpoint, from end user point of view, then it will finally succeed. Because remember and think of the really deal breakers we had, like the iPhone or other things. Only the end user perspective finally has helped the product to be cutting edge. All the other more technology driven products, they haven't succeeded finally. And this is why I think that service design should it has to come from both sides. It has to be, of course, technology based, very stable, very cheap, very cost intensive, or let's say cost saving implementations. But on the other hand, it has to be sexy from the user point of view. And only if these two things come together, then service design can be successful. Otherwise, it will never, you will never sell, or you will never be successful just because of the fantastic technology. The people today, they want comfort, they want easy interfaces, and they want to have benefit right away on their palm. They want benefit. They don't want to wait, and they are very impatient in our digital world.
Yeah, and that's fully understandable. I think in all walks of life that if any user, we're going to provide a service or products to them, they want that product to be delivered and consumed in as easy way as possible. Because I guess really there's always competitors in the market, and if one provider can't provide the customer with a service to the level that they need it, then they'll go elsewhere, of course. So having that mentality is probably not a bad one. We touch on business analysis and service design. I wonder, how do you distinguish between service design and more traditional process improvement or even product design? And I wonder, I'll ask Oleksandr that question first, if I may.
It's a great question, because on one hand, any service will be a product, and you should think about any service as a product when you look at the situation from the provider part. So there will be all parts like process analysis, some designs, etc. But when we're talking about customer part, there is a difference between, again, sometimes we can think about services as a product because they consume them. Yeah, it's not in physical way. Yeah, it's in non-physical, non-tangible way. But anyway, you want it to be good quality, in time. It should meet your expectations. So it's all the attributes of the product. But on the other hand, it will have different attributes, different qualities of physical. It's not a physical product; it's service, and it works different ways. So we should always keep it in mind these differences, and also keep in mind that we should think about it as a product. When we're talking about processes, we're talking about how to provide them, how to analyze customer satisfaction, all other things. So just products with some specific.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And so therefore, I guess with thinking about the traditional BA role, and when they think about process as an example, that process should be very much driven, and those efforts around process should be driven to deliver the best service or the best products to the customer. How quickly, once a customer comes in and expresses a desire to take on a product, how quickly can we get that product to them so they can use it, or the benefit of that service will be an example. So that makes perfect sense, Oleksandr.
Yeah, I have small addition. So often when people start thinking about selling services, not products, physical products, they start thinking that it's okay, it's easy way. You don't have to buy it, to store it, to move it. It's just service, just sell, create a website and sell some services. But then you start to realize that it's the same process. You should think about quality. You should think about your customers. You should think about how to provide these things, how to control the quality, how to control if you meet their expectations, etc. And in many cases, selling services can be more difficult than selling physical goods or stuff, because there is a lot of specifics there.
Yeah. May I jump in directly?
Sure.
Yeah, it depends. It comes to my mind if I was a customer and I need to choose between let's say customer off the shelf product, a COTS product, for which I pay several hundred bucks, and on the other hand a service for which I pay probably 5, 10, 15 euros or something. Then I have different expectations. So as a customer, I probably only want to use this service temporarily. Maybe I want to use it for 3 months or for half a year or so. But if I'm asked to pay 800 euro or dollars, then this is a kind of investment, because I know I will use it for years. And this is for the salespeople who are using services, this can be used as a big advantage, because they can show you this pay as you use advantage, and while on their from their perspective, it's harder to earn money, because you will only get these monthly fees, and you probably need years before you have filled up your wallets with all the incomes. And on the other hand, from the customer point of view, maybe they say, hey, I don't want to have this contracts. I don't want to have to pay this monthly fee. I just want to pay a software, and I want to use it for years. Let's say some photoshopping programs or whatever. I remember when Adobe has switched from their big cost to their monthly cloud-based cost, I was a kind of unsatisfied, because I said, okay, I pay 1,000 euro and I can use it for 8 years or so, Adobe stuff, the whole package, and now I have to pay 200 euro per month. What? This is a much bigger spend. And so we have a lot of, let's say, different aspects, and it really depends on the use case when it is better for you as a user to buy a big product or to spend a monthly fee. And on the other side of the coin, as always, I said it blue and orange. On the other side of the coin, there's always the perspective of the provider, the vendor. So it's difficult. You cannot let's say generalize on this. You really have to be very picky and look at the different use cases.
Yeah, it certainly sounds interesting, in the fact that you're in the examples you both sort of called out, is that you're very much thinking about when the customer is interacting with the organization, what they need from you, how quickly they need it, the different levels of service. And I guess to that nature, there's going to be different types of customer that are going to be interacting with the organization at different points. And some might just need a product to be sold to them with very little service. Others might need a product sold to them, or actually, that comes with a lot of service as well, and a lot of support, or a lot of other things other than just the use of that physical product they might have purchased.
I want to add, yeah. So there is, I think, in our real world, services and products are mixing very, very much. We can, for example, we can talk about the example when BMW wanted to sell some services additional to their cars, but I think we lost John.
No,
no, we are all there.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So there is, it's services often very attractive for manufacturers. For example, this example is BMW. They started to sell you some additional services in your car that you bought already, but you should pay some subscription to use, I don't know, some music or something else. And they understand that they can get uninterrupted flow of money from these subscriptions, because every time when you try to sell some product, you should invest a lot of effort to sell it. Yeah, you get a lot of money when you sell it, but if you don't, you are sitting without money. And subscription, it's not much, but every month. So,
yeah.
And this is, yeah, we should keep in mind also this part of different services and products.
Yeah, what you are describing is very interesting, especially from the business analysis point of view, because of course in earlier times we had product manager, product designer, but now as a business analyst you are more and more slipping into this role as well, because you have to be a service designer and a product designer. It is mixing, and you have to think about the customer expectations. If I have a product like Netflix is from the beginning, it was a service. It was video streaming, and nobody has ever thought about a big product, or that you can own a part of Netflix, that you have a Netflix machine at home. Nobody has thought about it. So it was very natural, and there was one message. There was no irregular, let's say, movement by the company. It just was successful. But if you now take a product like a BMW, then you have, from your traditional thinking, you have a product. There's a car, you can touch it, you can sit into it, and then you are asking, hey, why should I pay some monthly fee to them? Just because I want to have digital radio, or I want to have traffic congestion
Control, yeah.
or something, and then you feel a bit trapped. So I remember that I have felt trapped with such additional cost on products which I had to pay, and to let's say to make this to put this into a better message, and to make this to round the edges of some messages. This is exactly the point where the business analyst has to think about, because if you have a hardware product which comes with additional to be paid services, then it needs to be a very nice message which puts everything into one holistic thing, so that you are not shocking the customers. Otherwise, they will probably withdraw, like with some strategies by Tesla, or in motorcycles, you have it with KTM, with the Austrian motorcycles. You buy the motorcycles, and more than half of the assistants, the digital assistants, are missing. They offer them to you for 6 weeks or 6 months, I don't know exactly, and then they switch it off. Also, if you do not pay. And this is from the politics, from the price politics towards the customer. This is very hard, and I think this can be improved by a business analysis which goes beyond the traditional borders of business analysis. You cannot read it in the BABOK what we are talking about. This is very new thinking.
Yeah, and definitely that. I mean, it's definitely part of the typical BA skill set to be able to think more broadly, think about all the different parties involved in a process, think about a situation from many different angles. And in this one, I mean, it's a good example of there'll be times where we'll easily and logically think about the organisation we work for, the supplier, if you like, but also we've really got to think about the customer. We might have to think of other intermediaries as well who might be providing some of the services, and just make sure that really all the big picture comes together, so that we think about that full set of services, full set of interactions, and all of the different personas and actors that are involved in that process. So it feels like BAs can provide or can play a very significant role in service design, based on what I'm hearing so far. But it'd be good to get your view, Rainer, in terms of, are there any particular or specific activities that BAs tend to drive in a service design environment?
Yeah. First of all, you need to think, if you are in the design team, really if you are working together with the people, the machine room, as I said earlier, and you need to design a service which is with which you can earn money finally as a provider. Then of course you need to think about strategies. Am I dependent? What are the developments to be expected in the next years? What are the base costs? Is there any foundation, the framework, open source framework, Microsoft Windows or whatsoever, and all these scaling factors? Does it really sell if I have if I need to sell it 100,000 times, or is it can I scale it up in a way that not other people are finally having the big financial benefit, and so it's always a kind of tension field between the feasible technology things and the commercial things which you want to achieve. And so sometimes you need to compromise. You are probably thinking about using cheaper technology, cheaper frameworks, not by Microsoft or Oracle, by other frameworks which are probably coming from the open source area. But on the other hand, you need to to make sure that the quality doesn't suffer from it, especially the security, the quality of the security. And so this is something for which analysts are needed, because I say that people who are completely have a tunnel view on technology on one hand, and people who have a tunnel view on the commercial success of both, they probably cannot bring together what a BA can. The BA is one with two brains in one head. It's a technology brain and a business brain, and this can be seen especially for modern digital services.
And it sounds, just from what you were saying there, Ryan, that there's a number of BA skill sets that they bring together in that example. You know, it might be facilitation to be able to extract some of the information, or elicitation to gather the information from the stakeholders in terms of what is needed, what they're prepared for, you know, what their minimum expectations are, as an example. Them taking some of the more research, investigation type techniques that BAs tend to have to start to understand, you know, I guess the marketplace, to understand the costs involved, to understand, you know, I guess the user appetite for the products and services that we're analysing as well, and then also to think about, you know, the features that might have to exist in that product and how it aligns to perhaps the strategy of the organisation as well as the experience of the users. So and there's lots of things to bring into play for quite a complex picture, and therefore it sounds like BAs are probably in a good place for it.
Yeah, and let me quickly add that that as a BA you are a long life learner as well, because you do wrong decisions. There is no way out of it. Sometimes you make experiences which are bad, which are unsuccessful, but this is in turn, it is very good for you to make these experiences. I was involved in an initiative where we had a process flow system, a kind of workflow system, and everybody was appreciating it because it was for new energy trading products. And finally, after we have invested a lot, there were several €100,000 going into this initiative. And after a few months, I think 6-8 months after go live, the things have been put into the shelf. It was kind of shelfware. Nobody wanted to use it any longer because the usability was not good enough. And so it can be that you are not focused on some very important details, and that exactly these details make you fail with your digital service. And to anticipate where are the pitfalls, where are the points where you can fail. This is as well a kind of responsibility. It's a kind of the core of the job of the BA to anticipate where can things fail. You can translate it into risk management if you want.
Yeah.
But it's a bit more sophisticated than plain risk management, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly seems so, Rainer, in terms of risk and one thing, but failure points are going to need a different mentality, I think, to explore different failure points across the process. You know, risks are important, but these are quite different.
It's not very much technology. It's often people and acceptance and feelings, things like that. So emotions are playing a role, and this is much more difficult to anticipate these let's say obstacles than technology obstacles, because they are kind of math. It's technology can be calculated, but emotions and acceptance and whether they like it or not is much harder to anticipate.
Yeah, and Alexander, it'd be good to get your perspective on the role that BAs play in service design. If you've got anything further to add.
For me, it's, if you're talking about some skills, hard skills, tools, techniques, yeah, there is a special techniques that we will use to model or analyze services. because you have a faster loop between service and the client, and you have faster feedback. You rely on your client's satisfaction more than when you sell some physical products. So user journey can be a very useful tool here when we talk about services. But anyway, you will use almost the same tools and techniques when you work with physical products as well. So you should understand the domain and what type of services you're talking about. Yeah, because if it's consulting, for example, yeah, it's a unique one, and you're very dependent on the clients because you will have few of them. If you're talking about some Netflix style thing, so it's mass market, but then you should understand how all these users will affect how your service policy will affect satisfaction of these users call, because you will get their disappointment will reduce revenue, but it will be longer loop, and you should understand from business point and from I don't know user satisfaction point how it works. And yeah, I agree with Rainer said it's business analyst can do a lot here because we are thinkers, we are analyzing everything, and we think first. Yeah, we provide some options. We should always analyze current situations. We should analyze context, and we should provide options. And then stakeholders, we should allow stakeholders to select something, but we should provide all the information they need to make their choice. So in this case, it's almost the same when you work with services and products. But when you work with services, you should understand the specific of the services. Yeah, and there can be different ways or different techniques we can use.
And I guess that, Alexander, that also can come an additional angle, I guess, from a BA perspective, is to think about how to visualize some of this information and make it more digestible. So I suppose it could be, provide the processes, if you like, that a customer might require, or probably a more specific way of thinking about it is like a service catalog, that the services that the customer requires from the organization. And then to think perhaps below those services of what they require or what is being provided, some of the nuances, some of the, I guess, the features, some key parameters to do some research, as we've already mentioned as well.
Yeah, it's a great point because, for example, again, difference between physical products and services, that you are always in touch with your customer, and you can quickly get a feedback from any changes or any options you provide. So because when for example you sell cars, yeah, you will get the feedback, but it will come much longer process, yeah, and a lot of steps just to get to the factory, and you should do a lot of things to change something. When you talk about processes, sometimes services, it's sometimes much easier to change something, but also it can be as a good thing as a bad thing, because you can easily break your service, yeah, your Netflix or your website.
Yeah.
So you should keep in mind it as well.
Yeah. So what I find is a great opportunity for service providers. So meaning this continuous services, they will bring you in a continuous contact to the users, and they will give you the opportunity to make a continuous improvement. Of course, some of the services they really are going on your nerves because they ask for feedback and satisfaction and things like that. So I'm sometimes really annoyed by all these questions. I just want to use it, and I don't want to be stopped in my flow. But if this evaluation becomes a bit more clever, and this is exactly where I point to solution evaluation, which is chapter I think 8 in the BABOK. This is exactly a general discipline of a BA, and if you have your measurement points, your diagnostic things involved into the software and into the service, then you can have a very clever way to improve your services without making the customer aware of it. So it's kind of magic. So sometimes I see this that there was an update on my iPhone. It shows me in the morning that there was an update. And then if I do something on my iPhone, I see, oh yes, what did they do? Wow. And again, there's a kind of inner satisfaction with the product and the service, because I see they have given me something I have not asked for, just as a service, as a top on the as a top off on the service. And this is exactly what I think needs to be discussed with salespeople. So there is a close engagement between the business analysts and the salespeople and the value people. And so the whole story can become massively successful in commercial ways if you do it in the right way.
And it's an interesting point, Rainer, as well, in terms of thinking about how we can inject that continuous improvement, as you said, that opportunity for feedback, if it's applicable from the customer, without making it too onerous and making it a point of contention themselves. But also, those internally driven process optimization can be part of this as well. As I assume, can be, some research or observing what other similar providers are also doing in the market and providing a similar level of functionality that perhaps we weren't doing originally. So I guess it's really, in essence, the business analyst supporting the organization to have their eyes in all directions, whether it's the customer, internal, external competitors in the market, and to be able to use all of that insight that they have to ultimately provide a better service that evolves over time.
Yeah, it's so easy to think about it. Let's say you have in your online banking service on your phone, on your smartphone, you have a standard process, which is transaction. You need to do a transaction, you need the account number of the receiver, you need this and that. And what you can do is you can measure the average time of a transaction. And if you see that you can make an A/B test. And if you put in a new feature and you see that A and B is developing in a special way, you can then give these features a kind of weight, a kind of effect in your productive version. And if you see that the effect is too small, or that people are slowing down with their transaction time, you can again roll it back, things like that. And this is something which for which you doesn't need to interview people, for which you doesn't need to ask some questions. You just you can just measure it by a kind of AI in the background to see how people behave and how you can better your services. So there is so much potential. I think we are still at the beginning.
Yeah.
I would just want to add, that it's, and in this moment, comes privacy, personal private information, protection of private information, and cybersecurity. Because again, we have an opportunity to gather a lot of information about customers. Or when talking about IT services, so we can gather a lot of information, and then business starts to think, okay, we have a lot of information, what we can do with this, and then we should look for some customers for this information. And there was a recent scandal when automotive companies started to sell drivers' information to security companies. Not security, but insurance companies. So there was a scandals that they started to sell information, and the insurance companies started to calculate your commission based on your driving style. And it's sometimes, it's crazy, because again, my style can look crazy, but there was no accidents. I'm perfectly safe. Why should I pay more? Maybe I'm looking crazy, but I'm not doing anything wrong. And anyway, how can you sell my information to somebody without my consent?
Yeah.
And
This
we
is
we should keep in mind all this stuff when we developing these services. Yeah.
yeah. So this is the point in time where I'm happy to live in Europe and not in China.
But actually, I think it was, it was in the US. Scandal, it was in the US. But German companies as well sold this information to insurances. So
Yeah, if it comes to data protection and things like that, I would say that the US is between Europe and China.
Yeah. But I mean, the data protection will obviously be definitely something that BA should think about anyway, by the sound of it.
Absolutely.
And I mean, we started to talk about as well some of, we talk about behaviours and transaction times as an example. I think you spoke about there, Rainer, and it seems that there's other measures that we can think about as analysts when we're considering the success of the service. And I know, that you've touched on some of those can be very externally focused on the customer, but there can possibly be others as well. So we don't necessarily need to, as you were saying, we don't need to go out and ask customers all of the time. I guess we could do that. And I think there's probably an element of going to some of our customers at a certain point in time and asking for their opinion on what can be improved, because we don't want to assume that we have all the answers. But also, looking at their behaviours, looking at how the transaction times might improve, or how, I guess, clicking through the product might give some insight into perhaps they're not having the efficient journey that we're expecting them to have. But I wonder, beyond that, I mean, are there any other measures typically of a successful product design, service design rather?
First of all, I just want to add to what you have said is that the BA is asked to do a very intelligent and fact-driven or data-driven balance between the qualitative things and the quantitative things. So quantitative things are sometimes very, very cheap, but they can easily lead you into a wrong direction. And qualitative things are mostly very expensive, because you will get unstructured information. You have to understand it, and the analysis cannot be automated in an easy way, which is with quantitative measure points, which is much more easier. And this is something where the intelligence of the BA comes in, which cannot be done by let's say, at least not today, by an AI consultant, by an artificial GPT head. This really needs a very intelligent approach by a human being. And coming to your question, so I think that that successful digital services, services which are taken by the consumers, that they have first of all very easy interfaces. So they must be very, very handy, as you say. And there is a second thing which is a bit of going against the general rules. Data protection and data exchange has to be brought together, because a service can only be good if there is a lot of data exchange, and the service can only be good if there is a proper data protection. So how can you overcome the obstacle that coming back to this travel assistant, many companies who are involved, or which are involved in the travel business, meaning train, plane, taxi, they all have data of the customers, but they are not allowed to exchange the customers. But on the other hand, the exchange of the data from the customer is the basis for an intelligent recommendation of the next action to the customers. So there is a big let's say, thing which clashes. You have data protection and you have data exchange. How can you overcome this big clash? And I think where products exactly do this, if they have a good combination between data exchange and data protection, which is finally beneficiary to the end users, then they will be successful. This is one of my, let's say, paradigms which I have in my mind.
And in that example, I mean, I guess some examples that spring to mind for me is really, being able to understand like some of the, I guess, like the age groups of particular customers, where they're located would be useful, some of their behaviors, but we don't necessarily have to have their name. We don't need the fact that Oleksandr and John and Rainer have all given a perspective. We just need to know that there are customers that we have, even though we don't know which ones. If we look at our data and private data, but we know that our customers actually have quite specific behaviors based on their age, their location, and some other criteria as well.
Yeah. A typical thing with which you can always work is personas. If you categorize the users into persona groups, then you know exactly. If you, for example, are working on a travel assistant, then you know that there is if there is a persona which is over 60 or over 70, that they don't want to walk from 800 meters from one traffic service to the other traffic service, because it's too far for them, and they don't want to carry the suitcases. And for people who are let's say carrying rucksacks, that's not a problem. So yeah, what I mean is that you cannot work with two simple models. You have to build in your service intelligence a certain base complexity. Otherwise, you will not be clever enough to let's say finally help 90 or 95% of the audience, of the people who are using it. And if you only really help 30 or 40%, then the service is not successful. You have to be let's say you have to build a service where you can say, okay, for the typical users who are using these things, I have a bandwidth of 80-90% of the people who really continue to use my service, and not just use it for 3 weeks and then cancel it again, because this is not success.
Yeah. And I mean, many points you've both made there, which certainly for me, someone who's sort of somewhat new to, I guess, service design as a concept. Heard about it at a recent conference. It's definitely interesting to hear a bit more about the topic. I know we're sort of somewhat limited on time, so it'd be good as well, while we've been talking about service design, perhaps we should also talk about the European BA Day as well, because I know you're both heavily involved in that. So I wonder, Oleksandr, do you mind starting and just giving the audience a bit of a view as to what European BA Day is, and perhaps is service design on the agenda at that forum?
We always think about our customers, about our visitors, because we want to provide them the best services, the best speakers, and the best workshops. And also we understand that organizing the conference is it's providing people with some service, and you should understand what people want to hear, what will be valuable for them, because they are spending some money, they are spending their time on this conference. And making the conference online, it's different from making the conference offline, and we recently discussed it during our after work talk podcasts. And we defined these differences. So people coming to offline conference, they more interested in networking, in some exchange of information, in some networking, and some getting more knowledge, but it's more, I would say it's more leisure. You can travel, you can meet some new people, you can have some interesting information, some top talks. And when we're talking about online conference, it's more about like studying. You can get a lot of information, you can listen to it later, what you can do with offline conference. So we provide our visitors with recordings. We allow them to select speakers they want to ask questions during the conference, but later they can watch videos later when they are comfortable and ready to digest these topics. And also this year we want to provide them something else. We want to provide them workshops, so they not only listen something learned, or they just study something, they try something. Yeah, and there is near 10 workshops we have already, and it's with wide range of topics. And but unfortunately there is no service design, so we should think about one this way.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
Rainer should that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very true, Alexander, what you're saying. And what I like very much is that Alexander has described this transition which we have done when we had the conferences in Frankfurt. It was one event, mostly in spring, late spring, May or something. And then it was 2 days full of energy, and then it kind of stopped. And now that we have done this journey towards the online conferences, it's more a continuous service. It becomes slowly a continuous service because it is present more or less the whole year. We are starting already in August after the summer with these after work talks, and there's always a kind of presence, meaning you have the BA day there present all the year, all over the year, and there is a continuous learning effect for the people who are in this community. Meaning, finally, I think this is a good vision for us. Let's note it down after this call. Finally, we need to become a learning partner, a continuous learning partner for the people who are in our community, so that they stay with us, that they are always kind of in the BA Day family, because they can take things away from it. Probably they have their sources of education and training. They watch YouTube, they talk to their colleagues, but one component is they are in the BA Day family. It's one piece of their learning approach, and everybody has a learning approach nowadays.
That's it.
Learning is indispensable for everybody.
And I mean, it's sort of some of the things you both said there, sort of, they really resonate, because it's definitely nice. I know I've been to physical conferences, and I've attended online ones as well, although not this one yet, but hopefully next year. And there's quite different things you get from both conferences, I think. I mean, you obviously mentioned the networking. I don't know, there's still opportunities for networking on virtual conferences and online conferences as well. One particular challenge I always have when it comes to physical conferences is, there's normally at least 2 sessions going on at the same time that I'd like to be in, and it's impossible to be in the two places at once. Whereas I guess if you're lined up for an online conference, the fact I can attend one live or actually one online session as it's happening, and then attend a recording or view the recording of another session is a big benefit, as is the I guess the absence of the cost around traveling and accommodation, and that the convenience. If something crops up, I can attend to it while I'm still at the conference as well.
Yes, and there is one big benefit as well. We open up our archives for everybody who has attended one BA day. Meaning, let's say you have attended the 24 BA day, then you can listen to the recordings after 23 and the 25 BA day, which is a great thing. Because imagine you have never been busy with service design, you were somewhere in databases or in business analytics or something, or and then you change your focus, and then after 2 years or so you are suddenly in the middle of a service design, and then you remember, hey, there was something on the BA day 23. Let's go back to the archives, and then you can go back and listen to what the people have said, to the live recording, and you will as well see some of the stakeholders who have been there, some of the guests, and maybe then you can go to the people and contact them personally. What we have seen is in the history, because we are doing now the 6th one, we have seen that small groups of interests have been formed. Meaning suddenly we saw that 5-6 people were discussing on a topic completely decoupled from the BA day, a kind of a circle of friends with a common interest. We saw this in southern Germany, and we saw this internationally in Switzerland, and this was fantastic because finally everybody remembers that the root and the start of the association was the BA day, and so we are trying to build this network around these developments.
Yeah, and hopefully in those examples, Rainer, that those groups that have formed, starting to digest and talk about some of those topics, that in time they might have a different perspective to bring back to the conference and present themselves.
Exactly.
You know.
I think I haven't measured it and compared it with other conferences because of the lack of data, but I think we have a lot of repeat guests and participants. Oleksandr, maybe we have to see whether we can measure this somehow. But I have the feeling, because I've seen the faces just several times on the conferences, even virtually or on premise, and there you can see that you have a lot of, let's say, existing customer base, people who are really coming again and again.
And I appreciate we're somewhat out of time, so it's probably a good time to pause things at this point. But I'd just like to thank you both for your time. What's interesting is obviously we started speaking about service design. We spent quite a lot of time talking about that, and I really benefit from the various insights that you shared. But then even just by talking about the European BA Day, there's obviously a service element to that as well, and because it's quite nice. There's that association between the two topics, as there probably are many topics that we'll all get involved in from a day-to-day perspective. And maybe for BAs out there, maybe this is the first step. Just get an awareness of service design, and then you can start to think about how much of an impact it can have on your day-to-day, on every element of your analysis, and hopefully can improve the services that we ultimately deliver as well. But on that point, thank you again, both of you. Definitely look forward to seeing you at BA Day, European BA Day, but also hearing from you more widely. Unfortunately, we lost Sabine along the way, but I'm sure she'll be comfortable. You've both done an excellent job of representing the European BA Day and conference anyway. But with that in mind, gents, thank you very much, and thank you everybody for listening.
It was a pleasure to meet you here and to talk with you. It was a very engaged discussion, so thank you for this.
Thank you both.
Yeah, thank